Get ready. It's time for a well-deserved break, Pittsburgh, with Heather Abraham and David Highfield from the KDKA TV studios. It's Pittsburgh Today Live.
Hey, thank you for joining us, everybody.
Good morning.
And my understanding is, because you've been talking about it, that you want to get a new cell phone because you're at the end of your rope, right?
I do not want to get a new cell phone. This is the problem. And this is, I understand, in the grand scheme of life, this is not a problem. But people can no longer hear me on my phone. This is just the protector, but it's cracked. Even the case is ripping. But
So it's time. Because if people can't hear you on your phone, it's time to actually go and make a decision.
The hassle. You know, we've talked about the hassle before, you know.
It's true. Because there's a lot of decisions to make, and then you're standing there and you're waiting until it's your turn in the queue.
Signing into all of your accounts.
Right, trying to get the info from this phone onto that phone.
Do you want this one or that one? This one has a better camera. This one's still good. And you're like, oh, I don't know.
The app was supposed to transfer over, and then the app didn't. And then what is my password for that?
Did you back up to the cloud? Well, I thought I was.
All right. Hey, maybe this is an idea. Okay. You could get a rotary cell phone. This is actually a thing for people who are just nostalgic for the old rotary phones. So a space engineer has come up with this. Her name is Justine Hopp, and she really dislikes smartphones. And she also says because the antenna flips up, this has better reception than any cell phone you could get. It has 24-hour battery life, and she doesn't have to text people.
Well, is it a speakerphone, or do you actually hold that up to your ear? No,
I think you hold it up to your ear, but the buttons on the bottom you can program as speed keys. So she says she doesn't always use the rotary part of it, but she enjoys using the rotary part of it when she does. Anyway, let's listen to her explain it.
The point, again, wasn't to use the rotary dial for every call. I'm 95% of the time I'm calling contacts that are already built into the phone. In the cases when I do need to dial a new number, then those cases are infrequent enough that the novelty of having to use the dial is actually a pleasure. It's so satisfying, you know, it just feels good.
And I understand this, because I grew up with a rotary phone, and I remember that my grandparents had a rotary phone that was like really heavy. Like it felt substantial, like I'm about to make a phone call. Like
that's back when things didn't break.
It's true. Things now I think they build them to break.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this will last 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore.
And you could slam down that phone and be very dramatic.
You would probably really enjoy this phone, you know, for the simple fact of not responding to emails and text messages.
I knew she was going to go there.
There's nothing on that phone. You don't even have to worry about it. No excuses anymore.
So right now, this woman is selling this on a website, $140. You get the inner workings, you get the other parts. You have to put it together. But she's working on a phone this fall where it'll come all together. So anyhow, stay tuned.
I mean, it's kind of neat and brilliant for people.
I think it's such a different kind of thing. She could make a lot of money on this.
Do you remember Nextel phones when you used to be able to beep? It was like a little walkie-talkie. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember this. How did I miss this?
It was a trend that happened for just a short amount of time, but I remember them coming out before college, but in college people had them. So you could just use it as a walkie-talkie.
I vaguely remember this now. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that, how little it is.
Well, this is unusual. You know, theme parks are reopening, and we're talking about the limitations on crowds and social distancing. But in Japan, there's been a suggestion that's leaving people a little bit puzzled.
Well, or silent.
Yeah, because at least that's what they're supposed to be.
They've said, yeah, sure, we're open, come on in, ride our rides. You can't scream.
On a roller coaster, so the guideline is to avoid shouting or cheering, because their concern is people are wearing masks. They're required to wear the mask, but they're concerned that if people are screaming, little droplets will come out and then it'll go to the people behind them.
How do you even, that's something that's just in your belly, right? Like it just happens. You don't think, I'm gonna scream this entire roller coaster ride. I think that just comes from within.
I think it would be very weird to see like video of people on a roller coaster perfectly silent.
Trying to hold it in.
I do think it's one of those natural reactions that we have to a thrill ride. It's a thrill ride.
Right.
So if, you know, but if you're, I understand they want to be cautious.
You'd have to
It's
just give me some duct tape. There we go. Then I'm ready to go.
Jill probably wants to give us duct tape occasionally. Quit your talking.
Probably. All right. Another thing that's kind of happened, we're talking about roller coaster rides, you're not able to maybe wear the mask. But as we're out and needing to wear them if we're in public places, have you heard of maskne? Or maybe perhaps you know what it is.
Yeah, maskne is an actual word. Maskne, like acne, only caused by your mask. So, you know, I mean, and this kind of makes sense. The masks trap moisture, sweat, and oil close to your skin. They also can do some friction on your face. So the New York Times did an article about this, and apparently they've added the word maskne to the Urban Dictionary right now. And they have some tips. They're saying, they interviewed some experts, and they're saying avoid wearing makeup.
Which is what, these are my notes, and I wrote, what? Right next to it. So what, right, seriously, I wrote right there. What?
Well, I know. I mean, that's going to be difficult for a lot of people.
I get it. I get
Yeah.
it, but still.
It says to wash your face with a gentle cleanser before you put your mask on. And if you're irritated by the friction of it, use a moisturizer there.
Have you seen people hanging their masks from their rear view mirror? In the
have seen
car?
that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't know, like if maybe you're leaving your house to go somewhere, if you're actually going to be in a place where you're gonna need a mask. I don't know. What are you gonna wipe off all your makeup, moisturize your face really quick, and then put on your mask?
Well, if you have it on for a short period of time, I think this speaks more to like people who have a job or out and about where they have the mask on almost all day or a whole afternoon or something. You know?
While perusing on TikTok and Instagram, I have seen some videos and pictures of healthcare workers who are doing up their eyes so fabulously, and then they take the mask off, and you can see they have no makeup on.
Well, see, they're
following eye makeup.
They're following the instructions then.
I guess
no
they
makeup
are.
underneath. And I think people are speaking out with like really creative masks, fashion-forward masks now.
The times we are. Could you even imagine if we
Like last
knew
year.
in January that we would be talking about this?
Yes,
honestly,
we never would have imagined it. All right, Dick's Sporting Goods doing something new that we wanted to tell you about. They are opening these warehouse clearance stores in some parts of the country, and we have one right here in Bethel Park that's opened, and so big discounts. And you know, some retail experts are saying other companies are faced with the same thing. They have so much inventory because they've been shut down.
well, think about this too. When the shutdown happened, it was mid-March, and this is right about the time that all of the spring apparel is starting to come out, and stores were trying to push out all of their winter stuff.
Right.
So that's normally when everything would be on clearance. They're trying to get that out and bring in their spring stuff. And now we're into summer, so they have the end of winter stuff, all of their spring apparel, and now the summer stuff, and stores are just beginning to open. So I can see why they would have a backlog of products.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you want to check this out, it's at the old Toys R Us location in Bethel Park. And the other thing that's different that's going on, we saw this in Oakland. Restaurants, they've shut down some streets. Now we're hearing that it's going to happen in downtown Pittsburgh. 72 restaurants will be involved in this.
On 6th Street, right?
Well, it's 6th Street. It's a number of streets. 6th Street, Market Square. So people will be able to sit outside and, you know, eat and be more socially distant.
I think this is a really neat idea. Obviously, you need people to be able to commute and move about downtown, so it's not restricting traffic too much. I do think this is a really neat idea, especially in summer. People want to be outside. We want to still be able to enjoy our restaurants. There's nothing quite like sipping a margarita outside. You know?
I agree. Amen, Heather Abraham.
Right?
This is the first thing you've said today where I'm like, amen, Heather Abraham.
We need to make that happen a little bit more. But
I
really,
think so.
that just is summer to me.
No, eating outside is just fantastic anyway.
Right.
And, you know, this is a way that more restaurants can, because you think about how seating is limited if there's social distancing inside, and they still need to be able to make money.
Right.
So this it just sort of expands their footprint. So anyway, the downtown restaurants, they're going to have this up and running by early July.
That's going to be a great thing. That's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so we have a teleprompter. You guys at home know that. On this show, we don't use it quite as much because we just kind of talk and go.
You can tell we're not really scripted here.
But when we anchor the news, we do have a teleprompter. This ensures that the words that come out of our mouths are exactly what we want to come out. And so this is how it looks.
Right.
Okay?
So words are scrolling by, and sometimes things happen, because sometimes you see a word and you think you know the word, and then it trips you up. So I want to speak to something that happened last week to me during the new news. So I'm doing the new news, and we're in a report, and I realize there's nothing has been written to go to the next report. So there's a reporter.
So you're
piece.
distracted.
I'm distracted. So then I decide I'm going to call the control room to talk to the producer and say, hey, there's no copy in there. I mean, do you want me to ad lib something or whatever?
Right.
That's when the director says 10, 9, 8.
They're coming to you.
Yeah. The report that's airing right now is about to end. So then I just throw the phone down, not realizing that it had not dialed the control room. It had dialed our home phone. So
you have Gary on the line, the director's talking to you,
Right.
and there's a big word coming up.
There's a big word coming up, and so I'm reading, and it's a word that I can say, demilitarized zone. I can say that word, but I hear Gary over here on a phone, and I'm like, well, whose voice is that? I didn't even, I could just tell it was a voice. I'm thinking about how do I ad lib to get into this upcoming report, and anyway, I cannot sound out demilitarized. If you saw it, I attempted like 4 times, and then I just said across the border, because at some point you just have to move on, because you're
Give
like
up.
stuck in a loop and you can't do it.
Wait, but
And
what did Sue say?
our
director Sue-
Mark said that Sue said something like, oh boy, we got a problem or something.
This is our director, Sue, who we adore. I had a similar problem the other day. Metabolism was on the screen.
Oh,
a
yeah.
word we all know, right?
Well, sure, but
I thought it was metabolic. It's
Right.
4:30 in the morning, and you're in your head, and then you just wind up saying the wrong word sometimes.
You have to give yourself a pass, and hopefully you all give us a pass sometimes, because things happen, and like I wanted to explain that. So like I'm throwing the phone down, and then I hear voices, and I'm trying to, and anyhow.
So that's that.
That's
if you were
what
watching at noon last week, that's what.
Now you know why David
We're
could
all
not say
caught
that
up.
word. All right.
I think we're out of time.
I think we're out of time too. We were waiting for Jill. All right, it is Tuesday, and that means we're about to go on a treasure hunt with Dr. Lori. So let's take a break and get started with the rest of today's show. Dr. Lori will join us in a bit to appraise the items that you sent photos of, everything from antique evening bags to china dolls and a teapot. Heather and I will try to guess the values, and then Dr. Lori will tell us all about them. That's coming up.
And with all the protests in the news these days and on the streets, we're asking parenting expert Dr. G how to help our children learn and grow from the anti-racist movement underway.
Plus, girls with a bright future ahead. They're still in high school, but they have already developed a mobile app to help others. Find out what they did and the big scholarship prize that they got. That's coming up.
So stay with us. We're just getting started on this Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020. Thanks for watching PTL. We are so glad you're here. Does it sound like an 80s disco?
It does. Let's dance, Heather.